Okay, so you definitely know both these people, right? On one hand, you've got the friend whose birthday is basically a month-long national holiday. And then, you've got the person who treats the day they were born like, a completely normal Tuesday. Ever stop and wonder what's really going on there?
We're going to dive into this because I promise you, the reasons go way, way deeper than just someone being low-key. We're talking about things like control, deep-seated anxiety, even a touch of existential dread. So yeah, let's play detective and uncover the real psychology behind why someone would just ignore their own birthday.
All right, first clue in our little investigation here. It all comes down to a really basic human need, the desire for control. For some folks, our traditional birthday party, well, it feels like the exact opposite of that. It's this event where they basically have to give up all their autonomy.
And listen, this is not just about being a little shy. We're talking about a genuine physical stress response to being the main character for a day. I mean, think about it for a second. Everyone is staring at you. They're singing at you. For some people, that feels less like a party and more like, well, a really awkward interrogation.
This idea of being the passenger versus the pilot, it absolutely nails the core conflict. See, on your birthday, everybody else kind of takes the wheel, right? They pick the restaurant, they buy the gift, they choose the cake. You're just a passive passenger along for the ride, in your own celebration. Now, for people who have what's called a strong internal locus of control, basically people who need to feel like they're steering their own ship, this is pure psychological torture. They would much rather be the pilot of a totally normal day than a passenger on a so-called special one.
Okay, so let's move on to our next clue. This one reveals a totally different reason. For this group of people, it has nothing to do with avoiding attention. Nope, it's all about avoiding disappointment. So our brains, they're basically prediction machines, right? They're always trying to guess what's going to happen next. We build up this idea of the perfect birthday, but then reality hits. The cake isn't what you wanted, a good friend has to cancel last minute, and damn, psychologists call that a prediction error. And if you experience enough of those letdowns, especially when you're a kid, your brain learns a really powerful lesson. Hey, you know how to avoid the pain of that huge expectation gap? Easy. Just lower the expectation, all the way down to 0.
And that's why this quote is so perfect. Having no expectations means having no disappointments. It really is the ultimate emotional insurance policy. So when someone says, "Oh, I don't care about my birthday," they might not just be trying to be humble. They could be playing a strategic game. By deciding the day is nothing special, they're protecting themselves from ever feeling that sting of disappointment again.
All right, let's pivot a little bit. We're going to head into some more complex and frankly kind of darker territory now. Because sometimes ignoring a birthday isn't about control or disappointment. It's a subconscious defense mechanism against some of the biggest, scariest anxieties we have.
Think about this for a second. Birthdays are, well, they're literally mortality counters. Just let that sink in. Each celebration is a big, flashing sign that you're 1 year closer to the end. Now, for some people, that's a reason to party even harder, But for others, it's a source of this deep, quiet dread.
There's this thing in psychology called terror management theory, and it basically says that whenever we're reminded of our own death, what they call mortality salience, it kicks off this subconscious anxiety. For certain types of people, the brain's go-to coping mechanism is to just downplay the whole thing. So ignoring the birthday becomes a way to quiet down that internal existential freakout.
And get this, there's a total paradox for you. Some of the people who seem to care the absolute least might actually be the ones who care the most. It's wild. They have this incredibly perfect, idealized vision of their birthday in their mind, but they are completely paralyzed by the fear that reality could never, ever live up to that fantasy. So what do? Nothing at all.
The amazing researcher Brené Brown has a term for this: foreboding joy. You know that feeling? It's that little voice in your head that whispers, "Ugh, don't get too excited, something's bound to go wrong and ruin this." By not celebrating at all, these folks are basically putting their perfect fantasy birthday in a little protective bubble, safe from the messy, unpredictable real world.
Okay, so up until now, we've been really focused on individual psychology, right? But it is so important that we zoom out for a minute, because sometimes the reason someone's super casual about their birthday has zero to do with anxiety or control issues. Sometimes it's just culture. See, in a lot of collectivist societies, this intense, laser focus on one single person's special day, it's just not a thing. It's not the norm. The big celebrations might be more about family milestones or honoring elders. So if you grew up in a culture where birthdays just weren't a big deal, then being casual about it isn't some act of psychological avoidance. It's just, you're normal.
Okay,
Get ready for this. This is the final, and I think the most surprising twist in this whole investigation. What if ignoring your birthday isn't a sign that something's wrong? What if it's actually a sign of profound psychological health?
So let's just look at this comparison here. On one side, you have external validation. Some people really need that big party, the mountain of gifts, all that attention to feel special for just one day. But on the other side, you have people who operate from a place of internal validation. Their sense of self-worth, who they are, it just isn't tied to one specific date on the calendar. And this, right here, is the ultimate reframe. For people who have really secure attachments and a genuine deep-seated self-esteem, they don't need a special day to feel valued. Why? Because they feel it all the time. That indifference you see isn't some big act, it's not a performance. It's a sign of true, genuine contentment. They already know their worth every single day of the year.
So when you boil it all down, there's just no single easy answer here. The why behind someone ignoring their birthday is this incredibly complex cocktail of psychology. It could be about a need for control or a shield against getting let down. It could be a defense against anxiety or just a cultural thing. And as we just saw, it can even be this quiet, powerful sign of incredible self-worth.
And all of this kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. What does a birthday really mean to you? Maybe the next time a friend or family member just shrugs off their birthday, instead of jumping to the conclusion that they're just being difficult or weird, we can get a little curious about what their story might be. And who knows, maybe it makes us stop and think about what that day